For thousands of years, the earth has been our home, but soon it will become our prison. A criminal elite, composed of powerful bankers and owners of large corporations, govern the world from the shadows, and they are one step away from reaching their darkest dreams. 1. Create a world government dominated by an oligarchic elite. 2. Establish a global electronic currency in order to divide the world into two kinds of people, masters and slaves. 3. Implant a chip in every person with its biometric information, its personal details, and the electronic money that it possesses, in order to obtain the absolute control of the population. 4. Reduce the population to control it more easily, and better manage natural resources. The elite is on the point of realizing the dream that all big criminals have dreamt a long history. Obtain absolute power in the world, forever. How are they going to do it? They believe that they can do it through 3 simultaneous strategic movements. First, economic collapse. The elite will create a large international financial crisis, which will culminate in an economic collapse. Then many people will lose their jobs and their savings in Europe and the USA. With growing protests, the elite will create false anti-system groups that will cause episodes of chaos, so that the population claims the establishment of a strong order and authority. The evolution of collapse in Europe and the United States will follow different paths. In Europe, the elite generates the idea that any single country cannot overcome the crisis. A centralized European government is born, and national sovereignty is reduced to a minimum. Public functions of the state are privatized. Big corporations turn into the state. The political class is discredited. Some politicians and bankers are going to trial. But it is all a trick. The elite promotes manipulated leaders, emerged from protesters, for channeling protests and provide an illusion of democratic regeneration and hope. The European government is occupied by technocrats, who replace old inefficient and corrupt politicians. An apparently democratic European state is established, but governed by an untouchable elite. In the United States, the crisis provokes serious riots. Armed groups fight against the state, many of them manipulated by the elite. There are crimes and innocent victims. The federal government establishes a state of emergency and martial law to regain control. FEMA camps begin to operate. Dissidents and protesters are imprisoned, accused of terrorism and unpatriotic activities. Arrests and mass repression in the name of security. A fascist police state with stars and stripes. The strategy of economic collapse culminates with the introduction of a mandatory service to the state. In the United States and Europe, the mass of people who live in poverty is forced to work for the state in exchange for accommodation and food. The most antisocial people are selected to perform control tasks such as policemen or soldiers and repress the population. Government promotes reports and denunciations among citizens in exchange for benefits and recognition. At some point during the process of the economic collapse, starts the second strategic maneuver: the health crisis. An epidemic is raised to consolidate the process of mass population control. The mass media exaggerate the situation and generate a state of panic. Demonstrations are prohibited under the pretext that they help spread the epidemic. The epidemic is used to silently eliminate political dissidents. With the advance of the epidemic, the authorities established that the only way to control it is to implement a chip monitoring every citizen and quickly detecting new outbreaks. The chip is also used to store all data of each person, its physical and psychological profile, and its electronic money. Physical money disappears deemed unsanitary, unsafe and uncomfortable. These ideas are implanted in the citizen's mind. Chip equals money. Chip equals medicine. No chip equals death. Combined with the chip, the internet and system of cloud computing will be the basis of mass control. All information is saved in remote servers, a way of citizens' control. To reach absolute domination of the web, the union of the internet and the chip becomes Big Brother. Third strategic maneuver, war. First phase, regional wars. During the economic collapse and the implementation of population control measures, regional wars have grown along the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. These conflicts may start after another false flag attack, which causes the fall of the stock markets and will be the final trigger for the economic collapse, or even the beginning of the epidemic, if it's a biological attack. In this phase, great powers do not fall in direct conflict between them, in the style of wars in Vietnam, Korea or Afghanistan. The second phase, World War III. After several years of regional wars, and once achieved the total control of the population, the Great War breaks out between the great powers. Large masses of population are recruited by force, and are sent to a chaotic and devastating war. Nuclear, chemical, biological and climatic weapons are used on several big cities to eliminate a part of the world's population. Third phase, peace. The war ends when charismatic leaders controlled by the elite appear as spiritual saviors of the world and sign a peace based on the unity of all nations under a single world government of all nations. Survivors, exhausted and submitted, will accept the ultimate establishment of a single world government controlled by an untouchable and semi-divine elite. The masters of the world already have a submissive mass of slaves, controlled by high-tech and no one that will oppose them, never again. The total duration of this process can last between 10 and 30 years. Our world is on the brink of slavery and destruction, governed by an elite group of psychopaths, without any respect for human life, and at their service have an army of heartless and corrupt henchmen capable of anything to maintain their status. Are we going to allow these bastards to eliminate us, or we are going to fight for our survival? If we want to stop their plans, we must establish 4 immediate objectives. 1. Convince security forces to protect the people and not to obey the elite. 2. Attack and discredit the mass media, responsible for spreading the lies of the elite. 3. Prosecute and punish severely the political class that has served these criminals, all of them. They should fear the people forever. 4. Prevent the deployment of the chip. It's the key point. What can you do? On a personal level, inform as many people as possible of the plans of the elite. Denounce the manipulations by the mass media. Use its own speakers. Devote 1 hour per day to fight the plans of the elite, as if it were a personal challenge. Clean your mind of false values that have been instilled into you by the system. Don't follow blindly any leader, however good he or she may seem. Be yourself, the sole leader of your actions. Don't fall in racial or ethnic hatred. It's a trap to divide the people. Do not allow them to send you to any of their dirty wars. If you are going to hold a weapon, do it against them. At this moment, all rulers in the world are illegitimate. Therefore, disobey this rotten authority as much as you can. They have made you believe that you're just a tiny insignificant grain of sand, just an ant amidst the human anthill. They have made you believe that you must not be different, that you shouldn't make decisions by yourself without asking permission, that you cannot defend yourself, that you have no right to judge or to say what you think, that you do not have any value. They have made you believe that you can only live a small life, with a small dream, purchased in one of their stores, that your time on earth will not leave any trace, that the universe doesn't care what happens to you, that you are just a statistic, a number on a screen, easy erasable. But it's not true. If you are able to truly love and fight, then a single finger of yours is already worth more than all the rulers' heads. Don't have any doubt that you are living the most important moments of your life, because you will be the protagonist of the most important moments in human history. In this era of change, you decide if you're a simple sheep led to the slaughter, or if you are one of the people who will fight to their last breath to save mankind from slavery and destruction. Now is the time to demonstrate your true value.